So in between the work, I switch over to the big monitor and I end up playing games. So yeah, over there. So you know, hello Vincent. Yeah, so basically, there's no set theme tonight. I was just hoping anyone who wanted to come in for a Friday chat, if you wanted to pick a particular topic, then we can try and talk about it. I was talking about offence before I got cut off earlier. Hello, Hector. And that's to say that we have to just speak our minds and speak freely. And we can't legislate against people saying offensive things. It works on a level because we're quite fickle as human beings. If they say, "Oh, you're not allowed to say this anymore," then people do stop saying it. But I think it's a bad move in any society to make laws against people actually saying things which others consider offensive. And I'm not saying that because I just want to defend me and, I want to say offensive things. I try my hardest not to say offensive things because we're born with no knowledge. We don't have any knowledge. There's an argument that we've got some kind of method for understanding language, and I can go with that one. But anything else we learn, the words, customs, and what is offensive and what's not offensive. But the issue that we do have, as I said earlier, was simply that people aren't too kind when you make a mistake like that. You may say something which people consider offensive, and they want to jump on you typically. Say, "Oh, you're not allowed to say that. That's way out of order," and blah blah blah, and they want to have a go at you instead of simply pointing out that that's considered offensive, or have you considered that it's offensive? In a room full of people who may be offended by it, or even one or two people, even just one person, because we don't really want to change any environment that we're in into a negative environment, even for one person. And I think we can all agree on that. So when someone says, "Oh, come on, it's hardly offensive," it's like, well, no, if you're offending one person, then you're changing the environment, and really it's not a good thing to do. Also, there's no point fighting for what you believe isn't offensive and just simply saying it in front of groups of other people who do find it offensive, because you wouldn't do that with almost any other thing in life. You think to yourself, well, people may not like the smell of food in a taxi or a packed train or something, so people generally said, "Oh, do you mind not eating there?" Then you wouldn't do it. But with offence of words, people almost think that they've got free reign. "Oh, we should be allowed to say what we say. People are just too soft," and that. And I can see some agreement with that from me, because I think, yes, sometimes, people say that something's offensive just because they've heard it's offensive, even though they don't find it offensive. And I think that's got to stop. Hello, Hector. Hello, Helena. And, we have to learn to work with that also. But in the main, the whole idea is not to be offensive. And you have to learn not to be offensive. You can't just know. So that means us putting in that extra effort sometimes. And we have a feeling sometimes that something may be offensive. And if you feel it might be offensive, don't take the chance. And often I see typically what you may call, the tough guy, the big guys. They're the ones, people should just accept it. And they'll say what they want. And it's like, no, because you're a big tough guy, you can say what you want. You're used to it. That's bullying, in fact. And other people who say, well, I'm just me. I should just say what I want. And it's like, no. Listen. You say what you want and you can be who you are. But as soon as when you're on your own, but as soon as there's another person in your presence, then you have to modify your behaviour. That's how we get along as human beings. We modify our behaviour depending on the group that we're with. And everybody has to do that. That's just a must, unless you want conflict. And if you don't want that conflict, then move along. Otherwise, you're just fighting for space. I want to be offensive here. And if you don't like it, tough. It's like, what's the point? And that happens a lot. But going back to the legislation, you shouldn't be able to, I believe, legislate against people being offensive. There's no point making laws. It's about humans learning how to behave themselves. And that starts at the really early stages, and that starts with education. So the things that we don't want to see, we raise our kids to do the same. And obviously no kids are perfect, and we're not perfect adults, because we're told rules, but we break rules often. So people are going to break rules, and that's something I talked about 4 shows back, about reality testing, and that we know what the rules are, but we want to test the environment. We want to test someone's mettle. We want to see, how bold we can be. We want to see how soft people are. They're typically based on testing ourselves and testing other people just to see how they can react. Some people push it to the limits, and they call it a wind up. It's very English as well, by the way. And I'm not knocking the English for it. I mean, sometimes I find it annoying, but simply that, come on, mate, only winding you up. And they do it internationally, I understand, but it's so British. And I mentioned this earlier because there's some new people on. It's like because someone said it earlier. Oh, Cedric, talk about rum. So I started talking about rum. And they're like, I'm only joking. I'm like, you're wasting my time. And it's like very English again, or British to do that. You know, only joking about everything. And with boys especially, I don't know what it's like with women. But, you know, we like punch our face in the mouth, a mate in the mouth as he's watching telly. And he's like, what'd you do that for? And he's only joking. And he has to accept it because it's only joking. And it just makes me laugh because of the levels, not the fact that the British do it so much. And I've been to so many countries and I see their cultures and the way they treat people. And in some countries, they may have a practical joke. And that joke is to always shout out God is dead every time someone's going to drink their rum. I know it's a silly example, but that's the absurdity of it I'm trying to get across, you know. And in England, it's about putting someone into a shopping trolley, tying them up, setting them on fire, pushing them down a hill. And then when they get to the bottom and they complain, or even worse in the hospital, we're like, you know, only joking. And I just find it really absurd. And that's reality testing. Seeing how far we can push people, seeing how far we can aggravate ourselves, seeing how far we can aggravate other people. And I never really want that behaviour to stop because it is a learning process. But I am sometimes a little dismayed at the fact that we have to introduce laws to stop people making jokes rather than a preventative measure over the curative one, in that we should educate people about what offence is and about just really being good to other people. Because if you're taught to be good to other people and you understand that offence is a bad thing to do, then you're not going to be offensive. It's that simple. Or you're going to be offensive in the right environment. I mean, how many of us have sat there with your best friend and you've got to listen to this and you tell them the grossest joke that you've ever heard, but you wouldn't just stand up at a dinner party and go, oh, by the way, everyone, check this joke out, and try and deal with the fallout. You just know a place. But anyway, anyone got anything to say about offence? Andrew Murphy, you can be offensive, but when you do it in a way that incites others to do harm. But when you do it in a way that incites others to do harm, that's not acceptable. I read that in a completely opposite way. And absolutely. But even not about inciting others, but just about aggravating others to feeling uncomfortable. You know, there's no point. If you go to a comedy club, for instance, and just expect whatever, because that's what comedy is. It's what makes us laugh. Even if we're laughing at the detriment of others, it's comedy and it has its place. And it's in a private club, you pay to go in. If you walk out saying, oh, it was really offensive, he was telling jokes about Jews or black people or fat people, it's like, tough, you shouldn't have went in. And I understand that. You know, if it's a hardcore racist like the Sandman who just wants to get up and spout racist, you know, like monologues in the guise of jokes, and he gets an all racist audience, then also that's valid. It's like, this is what these people need in their lives. This is what they want in their lives. Who are we to say you can't meet up and make jokes about the people you don't like? As long as they're not going out inciting violence, as Andrew said, because those people think like that anyway. And who are we to stop them laughing at the things that they like? Hello, Polio. Thanks very much. So Andrew says once again, oops, I mean more freedom of speech. You freely speak, but it should be curtailed if you're using it to incite violence or racism. Once again, that is a very difficult area for me because I don't like it. But the things I don't like, it doesn't mean that they're not right or wrong. And it's not about right or wrong even. It's just to say that who are we to say, you know, if we educate people, it doesn't matter what level of education we give to people, not to harm anybody, not to hurt anybody, not to do anything wrong. If somebody stands up and goes, look, everyone, let's do wrong, is that person really, you know, to blame? It's just those people. Or maybe people are so fickle that they will follow a leader, and yes, that person is wrong in trying to incite them to violence, but the state does it. And this is the thing I can't understand. You know, we're just raised in a state to love our state, to fly a flag and send our young boys, I'm getting old, send our boys to war, you know, over nonsense. And the funny thing is the wars are never in our country. It's not like we're defending anything. We're just out smashing people for gold, oil and drugs. It's quite a crazy notion. But yeah, I can go with that in the main about people inciting that hatred and so on. And on a lesser term, talking about inciting, let me talk about like the music. They say, like, for instance, oh, Eminem, he's inciting or hatred and so on. And it's like, is he really, or are those people that way? And I'm not a big fan of Eminem anymore. And I know you all are. We've all got that dark side, sitting there spitting bars about rape and, homosexuality, like it really doesn't matter. I'm not defending it, just was saying, And it's done over a bed of good music. And we're fickle once again as human beings. You can sing what you like over good music, and we're like that. Yeah, I'm gonna kill my wife, And he's talking about killing his wife. Mind you, it wasn't over nice music. It was over nasty music. I've only ever listened to that once. That track called Kim, by the way. I'm that soft, but is he to blame? Or is it feeding part of what we need? Do we need to change as people? Because if we... I don't know if we can be 100% good. We need balance, that's all, We wouldn't know if we were good if we didn't know bad. Or maybe just if we were totally good, we would be in, some nirvana. It's just, ultimate and total bliss. And we're so used to negativity that we actually think that we need it or we need balance. Who knows? But if we really believed in good, more so, even if it was just 1% more, like the yin and yang was 51% good some days, when you feel really good and everyone's in a good mood and strangers are saying hello, we likely wouldn't permit those songs in our society. Can you imagine? Let me take it down to the island. I'm always talking about an island analogy. Okay, imagine you live on an island with 100 people. I always make these up on the fly, by the way, but they make sense to me, and I hope they make sense to you. You live on an island with 100 people, and there's a young man on the island. His name's Joe. And Joe, what we do every Friday on the island, after we've toiled and we've brought the crops in, and we've tended to each other and nursed each other, and we've talked about the good things, and we've drunk good drink and eaten good food, on a Friday we meet up. And some people perform. They do plays. They do funny plays about the myths of the island. Funny plays about something that may have happened in the island that week. And every now and then some single talented person gets up and they sing a song about the island and about hope. And now one day Joe gets up and he says, I'm going to kill my wife. My mum's a hoe. Like that. We wouldn't allow it. I don't think we would allow it. And I want you to think about that. Would we allow it? Tell me if you think differently. It would be like it would be a dark mark on us as a society. It would be a subject we wouldn't be able to deal with and shouldn't have to deal with. But the fact that we do deal with Eminem, or other rappers doing so, is a reflection of us and our society, and the fact that we do have a really dark side that we're not necessarily trying to mend. And we've all done it. We've all sit there and grooved to an Eminem song. And not only that, but everyone there knows the words to his first album. If you don't, tell me different. Hello, Linda. Hello, Tony. Hello, Ben. Good luck, Ben, with the boxing, by the way. Is Larry boxing on the 15th? I don't know. Type the date in anyway. I can go and look for it afterwards. Well done anyway on your management of a fantastic boxer. So back to Andrew Murphy. Recent example of humour, poor humour shared in a public arena. Okay, I'll have a look at that afterwards. Eminem was a comedy act. Yeah, hello, Kimmy. Kim keeps me alive, keeps me afloat. She's been sending me. We've had quiet periods, but it's not the point of the quiet periods. What I mean is she's been sending me messages, and me occasionally back to her. But happy Friday over the last 5 or 6 years, and it was constant for like almost a year at one time. So we've got this amazing relationship, and I've met her, I've met her family, her dad, and so on, and they're all great people. And people like Kim remind me that it is possible to keep on doing good, and this is why I keep on trying to do good, and as I say, I don't believe I'm perfect, and I don't claim to be perfect. I love all the bad shit I've done in life, because that was me reality testing, and also sometimes you're just completely lost. This seems like a good idea, and it turns out not in your favour or to anyone else's favour. And it's not that you was an evil or bad person, it's just that you was experiencing life and maybe got caught up in the moment. And there's other times when it's been planned, when it's been like the foremost thing on my mind. Oh, I'm going to do this today. And it's not what you call good, but I think, hey, look at me today. I'm content. I'm happy. I love everybody, and I want everyone to do good. And I really believe in everybody. because I've put myself through some of the toughest challenges in life, and I still do actually, in that I know testing myself proves to me that things are possible. And for those idiots who say, oh, can you fly? It's like, yes, I can actually. I close my eyes and I'm flying. Okay, or can you fly physically? I say, I don't really want to. I don't see the need. I'm not a bird. It's like something like really that's what birds do. But what I mean by that is we are sometimes bad, and if you don't exhibit those feelings, if you don't release them, I think it leads to trauma, an inner trauma. And I've seen that in a lot of people who claim that they're just good. Now, let me just talk about hippies for a moment for a change, right? And I'm not talking about all of them always. What I'm talking about is a particular type, and it's a particular type of person, that's all, and that person happens to be a hippie. And I see it around the hippies more than anywhere else. Maybe I'm around hippies all the time. Who knows? Give me a reason. But trying to be just this perfect good all the time and pretending there's no negativity about you, it's just a false premise. It's the fakest that you could ever be. And if you keep on searching for highs all the time, it just seems so unnatural to me. It's like taking drugs. You can go high, I'd imagine, but there's always a come down. And the come down's worse than you ever was. If that's your level as a human being, as being human, just being, and you elevate yourself to up this high through some false method, through chemicals, and people may argue it's not false, it's like everything's real, everything's what we do. But you know what I mean, there's a medium. We all have this medium, this line, who you are every day. You don't just laugh jolly every day, and or you're not like completely depressed every day. Even though I like to think this, maybe someone at each end of the spectrum, but for most of us, we have a median, we have a line. And it's nice to go above it occasionally. That's what we call happy, for instance. Let me just say the above it, the line's happy, and below it's sadness. And we don't like sadness. We all want happy. And we're all chasing happy, or we're chasing good moments or great environments. But we can't stay continually high. It's not there for perpetuity. And for those who claim that they're seeking happiness, I think they're lost. You have to be happy at times, and you have to find a medium ground, because in the middle's best for almost everything. And if you do go high, you don't just come down to your medium, you tend to go below it. And if you stay low all the time, then it's hard for you to surface again. And it's nice to play. Just go up and down sometimes. And sometimes even put yourself into what we may call sad or difficult situations so you can experience it. Because, as I said earlier, we want a reality test. But some of us don't reality test sadness. We're always like, I want to be happy, chasing happy. And it's like, no, sometimes go and sit in a blues bar and listen to someone talking about losing something. And you realise it's not that sad, actually. It's just another aspect of our lives that we have to face up with sometimes. And when we are met with some massive sad event, then we break down because we've not had those little experiences of facing sadness. We look the other way when we see someone really poor and dirty in the street, because it interrupts our view of the beautiful world. Sometimes look and understand and say, wow, this is how some people are, and take it in and feel that for the moment. Even if you're not going to help that person, at least feel and experience it, because then you're experiencing that what you may call sadness, instead of keep on hiding away from it. Because when the first big sadness comes, a real sadness, something that's inevitable, typically a loss of a loved one or so on, boom, we fall over and die. But that may be an extreme example. The loss of a loved one affects you even if you have had lots of experiences of sadness. What I mean is when something that's sad but needn't be as big affects us, and then we crumble. And we have to keep on experiencing ourselves and keep exposing ourselves to sad events. I recommend it to anybody. Just do it, I spend a lot of time. I sit there with homeless people. I sit there with someone who doesn't look sad. If I see someone sitting on a bench, I accost them. You okay there? And I'll ask them if they're okay. I don't want nothing. I do like thank yous. And if they don't come, I don't mind anyway. But you okay? You sure? Is there anything I can do? No? Okay, thanks. And then I'll move on. But some people need to talk. And if they sit there and they're going, well, to be honest, and they tell me a really sad story, and once again, I'm human. I've gone and put myself into a situation. So I want to hear their story. I want to take the weight and some of their pain away from them. Because if we share our pain with people, it lessens it. That's a fact. Rather than holding it in, I don't want to tell anyone about what I'm going through. We've got so much weight on us. But I call it bus stop therapy. I just tell a stranger, oh, well, I hope you don't mind. I just wasn't feeling that good today. Tell them a little sad story, blah, blah, blah. They were feeling strong. They've taken a bit of the brunt, and it's released the pressure. But that sad person I go and talk to, or the person who's not doing so well or feeling so good, I listen to them and I take it all in. But once again, I'm human. I don't want to always hear a sad story. I'm having a good time. Someone comes up to me and says, "Oh, you never believe what happened to me." And I'm like, I probably won't, and I don't want to. And I'm blunt with them sometimes because honesty works, And what's the point of listening to a sad story if you really don't want to? Yeah, I know, I'm dark sometimes, but you've got to do it. It's got to be done.
You not heard of the OBG? Big people talk, man. You need to get involved. You might even catch a blessing.
Yeah. If Felix is actually listening, Felix, be a good boy and listen to Daddy today. This is what the OBG did growing up. Not listening to your daddy, but listening to mine. Martin, okay, I'm looking back at your statement. I imagine that was about Eminem. That you don't, if you're still there. And as I say, it's one of those kind of silly statements. Everybody here listens to Eminem. I know that not everybody does. It's just the way it is. But when we say everybody, it's the majority. The fact that it became such a massive seller, worldwide, then you can be sure that there's a high percentage of people around us that have listened to the album. I actually bought it. And not only that, it was one of the first CDs I'd bought in years and years, because by then we was all pirating stuff and listening to MP3s, and we had Kazaa and all those other programs on our computers whereby we could download any song we want. But when that came out, I went and bought it. I was kind of not caught up in the phenomenon like, oh, wow, great, another new rapper, I'm going to buy it. But it's like, what's this all about? And I put it on, I was digging it, I was like, wow. And I just thought, wow, this is very clever. Now, it's not about Eminem. He doesn't make the music, but they've got some of the best engineers in the world and musicians, Dr. Dre, 'cause they don't do it on their own, it's all done by whole teams, the record company and producers and, people who do certain audio effects and people who advise on melodies and so on. It's a massive, massive, expensive or costly, development. And then they release it to the world. So regardless of the lyrics, boom, it's an oral treat. We're all like, wow, you kind of you're kind of digging that music regardless. And then you kind of start singing along to the lyrics. And one day I'm sitting and I'm like, wow, this is bollocks. Like a lot of the rap that I don't listen to. This is bollocks. It's all bollocks. It's about being tough and killing people and being the baddest man in the world. And I just gone right off of him now. And I wish him luck. I think he's done what he's done in life. He came out, he made 3 albums, or 2 good albums rather, and 4, triers. And he's become wealthy from it, which means he's escaped. He's made it in life. But I've not heard him do any one good thing. Like, Eminem's supporting these people here, or he's doing something for charity, or a fund here, or, anything. All it is like now he must be about 120 years old, and he's still fighting 16-year-old, 19-year-old, 25-year-old wannabe up-and-coming rappers. Oh, I'm the greatest of all time. Yeah, and I don't know what they call it, beef, and they sing a song and mention him, and then he sings a song about them. And it's like, it's what you do, I guess, but not a good look. And, you could go and do something else. You've made it now, and I thought that's what life was about for you. As you said in your earlier lyrics, it's about escaping from poverty and being somebody. And you've escaped from poverty and you are somebody. So go help other people to do the same in whatever way you can. But you just sitting there slagging off new rappers is wank. There, I said it. Oh, nice one. Right, anyone want to move on? Hello, Sim. Anyone want to talk about anything in particular? Raise up a new topic. Let's get on it. Yeah, Andrew, let's talk about music for a moment then. I'll be right back. Right, before I start, Martin, I'll do the jokes. So, I see what you mean, Andrew. So let's talk about music for a moment. Hello, Anna. Music moves us. Music's life. You can say that about many other things, I understand, but music, vibration, that's what it is. It's about vibration. And when we're walking along, sitting down, when we're relaxing, everything around us is vibrating. Everything's moving. And we get used to certain noises. If we want to relax, then we like vibrations at a certain frequency or lesser of the high frequency vibration, all those noises. And we want to shut the door, go into a room, a bedroom where there's typically more padding than any of the other rooms, a duvet and sheets and like curtains and so on. And it soaks up a lot of those vibrations, and then we get to kind of a relaxed state. And you can create that in the living room too, but often there's, glass, on the pictures and big windows, and the only real soft furniture there is a sofa, and it doesn't soak up the sounds as well. The bedroom's a really good place to chill. The kitchen, noisy as hell. They're like little war zones, the kitchen. You've got your pots and pans, and you've got like electronic devices beeping, and all glass and tiles everywhere. Cold-blooded. Same as bathrooms as well. We relax in bathrooms because of the hot water, but the tiling and what it does with sound is horrible. It's just not a good place to go. It's not that we talk much in a bathroom anyway. It's silence, but it's a kind of coldness to the sound. So what I'm leading to is everything's about vibration. So now music, the reason why music's a treat is, as human beings, there's certain sounds that we like, and we like the space in between those sounds. For instance, in music, the A note, when we measure its frequency, or what we, science uses anyway, it's 440 hertz. That's the sound. And then you have a space in between that and the next sound that sounds good to humans. So I forget what the spacing is actually, and they're intervals. So if someone plays an A and then they play another sound that is at a frequency which is only like 50 hertz away, it won't sound good. But if they play one at 78, say, I don't know what the actual scale is, it sounds nice again. You think, wow. But then, and what we do is we found this 12 notes. This is in the standard like European way of hearing things, because they've got Indian scales and so on, and even those, they're broken down into the order they're played: Mixolydian, Phrygian, Dorian, so on. All these different scales in music. So if someone plays just a standard scale, let's start with C. It sounds like da 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 da. I can never sing a scale, but I can play music. I'm so embarrassed. Da 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 da. You know the one. Yeah, right. Da, 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 da. You can play it backwards too, and it sounds really nice to humans. And if you play 3 of those notes with a spacing in between, skipping one, C, F, C, D, E, and G, for instance, you play a chord, and it sounds nice. And that's the way kind of music works. It's not that it just works; it's what we like to hear. So now, music, the beauty of it is it moves the airwaves, it moves those vibrations. So therefore, now, when we hear those notes in a particular order, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, it sounds nice. It's moving the air, it's moving, and those are the frequencies. And this is why we love music. And this is why it works with people like, I'm going to drop it, I'm just going to mention them for the last time, maybe, Eminem, is there's the music behind it. And one of the tricks that he does actually use, he uses a lot of scales that children like. And as adults and children, we do like different frequencies. They work differently for us. So in Eminem songs, for instance, you hear a lot of like da ding da da ding ding da, and they're little baby scales that children like. And that's the criminality of the music for me. It's like they're selling to children, really. And we do like them as adults still. It kind of takes us back. We regress a little when we hear little tines or bells playing certain melodies. But we kind of grow out of it. We can do with it for a while. As we get older, we'd like a little bit more complexity, which is why people like jazz even. So let me go back to the comments. I'd argue against the 4/4, but yeah, I've heard something similar. But 4/4 house music, it kind of works, but that's only just for the kick. Everything around that is what makes the music. Because I'm dead. I just 4/4 music's dead. That's like European. That's a European invention. It's dum 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 dum. Like cold-blooded music, and European music historically is fantastic. Music that came out of Austria and Germany and like the European countries that are known for their classical music. Stuff that's lived on ever since. Partly because it's European, they sell us anything. But you can't doubt it. If you listen to classical music of all kinds, there's something in there for everybody. But listen to other countries and different cultures, and because the Europeans are most vocal, or because we've heard it the most, they say, these people play offbeat. And it's like, how is someone playing offbeat? For someone to be playing offbeat, it assumes that there is a beat, and who invented it, and who says this is how music is structured. And they play a different scale, and the note sounds really wrong to European ears. You know, when I hear a scale play the Indian scale or something, I'm like, oh, that, you know, that sounds terrible. But then the more you hear it and you become accustomed to it, then it actually becomes part of us. But we are used to, they call it Verdi's tuning, like A scale of music in Europe. But 4/4 and so on, especially in techno and house and all that, it's just killed music. It's just too... Dum, 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 dum. And the people who make the music, they quantize everything. Oh, quantize. It's almost a European disease, I call quantize. It's like, no, you don't need to quantize that. Yeah, but that note's out of place. It doesn't matter. Add some more tracks and music, and that off note suddenly becomes into its own. It becomes what the song is. But if you put everything on a beat, it kills it. House music's got a flavour for other reasons, you know, like off key and off tempo. You know, vibes in there. But that 4/4, I've heard the same actually, Sim, about the 4/4. But it's going to go away at some point. You know, don't forget, it never was here before. It may have been ancient times, history that we don't know of. But, you know, typically, you know, you can play your drums any way you want. Listen to funk drums. That gets everybody moving. You know, funk music moves everybody. Yeah, acid house raves. Oh boy, yeah, we're gonna have to talk one day, Sim. Stuff, yeah, about those experiences. So, hello, Elroy, how you doing? Hello, Mark. Yeah, just talking about music. Yeah, the hooks are a scam. Sorry, I just saw you there, Jerry. You're talking about the hooks in the Eminem music and so on. Yeah, you know, they're tuned for children, really. Just the note order and sequencing they do. So music, everyone loves music. This is what I was saying before I went into a little tirade there. But music moves us because, once again, it's an oral sensation. And our ears are like eyes, you know. It's just a device for sensing the external world. And we forget that because we use our eyes more than, well, not even more. We use them so much, we're used to it because we're hearing all day, you know, and we're even hearing when we're not seeing. So, you know, it's debatable. Plus we blink, so maybe we hear more than we see. But what I'm saying is it's a sensory device for sensory perception and so on. So we hear the music, the notes, we hear the space in between the notes, and it's something that we like. And everyone likes music. So when people say to me things like oddities, like, oh, this music's better than that music, I'm like, how? How can you quantify which music is best? It's very, very difficult. Pop music works. It's very popular. It has the widest audience. Part of that is because it's sold to more people anyway. Every country says, oh, this is pop music, and they've got a whole factory out there churning out what they call popular music and selling it to everyone. But it also just works because it uses very typically simple melodies and scales, and doesn't really go beyond that. And then they throw simple rhyming lyrics on top of that, you know, like with 4-line, you know, rhyming every stanza or so on. You know, baby, it was getting dark, I was sitting in the park. I'm like, that works, you know, especially when you're young and you like it. And as you get older, you know, you're like, oh, I like this band. Why? Because they don't rhyme. And they play the wrong notes, accidentals, they call those in jazz, right? They play the wrong notes and they break convention. And we don't need to break convention. We do that once again when we're, I'd say, late teens, when we're trying to be different still. It's like, oh, I like this band. They spit on stage. They don't even sing. They just come out and look at you. That's my kind of band. But, you know, we get more discerning as we get older, and then we start separating. Round about, I'd say, and I spoke about this before, like 16, 17 years old, we start finding something that fits with our character, with the genre we want to fit into. So you may be a punk, a skinhead, a goth, a rasta, you know, a hillbilly. I don't think a hillbilly's a thing. I just made that up. Ignore that. But, you know, whatever you want to fit in with, and you find that music that you like. And typically, if you found a drug at that age, then your drug of choice sometimes leads you down it. Like, people love their marijuana. I find they kind of love listening to, like, more reggae than non-smokers. And I'm not saying non-smokers don't like reggae, but what I mean is they follow it, you know, because of that. And the speed people, they love their metal and really fast music, the drum and bass and house and so on. They like, well, no, the house and garage like cocaine, but the old school ravers and that MDMA, ecstasy, and there's that drugs and music thing that goes on. And in fact, drugs play a big part in music, just like it does in all of the arts. It's a mind expansion thing. Marijuana is the drug of choice in creating music, to be honest. It's amazing. It just really enhances our hearing abilities, and if you can capture that and make music with it, then you'll hear good music, because the other side effect of marijuana and music or anything is smoke and chill and nothing really happens. So, what is the allure of Fish Go Deep, The Cure and The Cause? I can't stand the track, but there's something in the opening, a bit Snake Charmer-ish. That's the magic, you see. That's a beautiful description, Sim. Snake Charmer-ish. You get that with some songs, you know, you're just sitting there minding your own damn business, right? And then suddenly, you know, what's that? Snake, you're being snake charmed. I've tried to hide my Nike all show. Right? And you've been snake charmed into that song. And the worst thing, at least you went Fish Go Deep. That's cool. But me, I'm sitting and I'm thinking, I'm just working on if you want to be my lover, you got to get with me. And then suddenly, boom, this Spice Girl song's in your head. And that's the beauty of pop music, or the magic of the tricks that they pull on you. I don't know if Spice Girls happens to everyone, but you know, like a band that we're supposed to make fun of or whatever, but you're kind of singing their songs, you know, when will I be famous? Because they're sold to us wholesale. So, good to see you back. Sorry, cap stuck, I think I got it. Nope, working on it. Bluegrass, only natural, and it's your music. Yeah, even country and western music, quite oddly enough, because I know a lot of people, they just slate country and western music, and you can slate all music. Not all music is great in its entirety, but I grew up with country and western because I think a lot of West Indian parents in the UK and in the States slightly, because they're close as well, listen to country and western music. So a lot of us children of West Indian parents in the UK, we grew up with Jim Reeves. Tell me I'm wrong, Zimmer. You know I'm right. You grew up with Jim Reeves and, you know, Dolly Parton and all that. Our parents love country and western. It's close to blues music. I think it's what you might call white people's blues. And not just a commercial, you know, hee-haw country and western songs, but bluegrass, country and western and so on. There's something about kind of deep south blues about it for the white, for white folk. I can only dance the way I do because of LSD. I always nearly danced the way I do, but now a trip in Italy let me put it all together for my brain to get it. Well, that's the beauty of dancing, as I say to everyone. Hello, Bex. As I say to everyone, if you can, if you release yourself, and the drugs do that for many people. So, as I say, each to their own. But if you can release yourself dancing and be free and express yourself, then it just gives you a whole new freedom. It's a whole new part of you that you never knew existed. And I recommend this to everybody. Put on a song that you like and dance. Don't try to copy a dance. Don't try to do the dance. You know, don't try and make it into like moves that you're counting or anything. Just move and throw your hands out and dance and move and let yourself go. Not a good look, I understand. But do that in the comfort of your own home and really go for it. Try and dance for the whole song and really just let yourself go. Try and throw your hands up in the air and move your feet and try and just link everything together. And in the end, you'll find that you have a dance and it's your inner rhythm. It's your beat. You may be a person who, you know, likes doing this uniformly, or, you know, you may just like roll in the body or whatever, or you work really well with your head, but you kind of lock it into your body and so on like that. And what you do is you find your dance. And typically, I think everybody's dance is not what the public likes to see. But the beauty of what I like going to psytrance parties and early raves was that you could just express yourself. The psytrance and hippie parties are closer to it still for me at the moment, and that you can just go in and you can do what you want. You can even take your clothes off, to be honest. And it's all about freedom and expression in the main. And that's what dancing is. Dancing's a ritual. Dancing's not just this solo ritual neither, it's also a sexual ritual. You know, lots of other animals do it too. And, you know, maybe at the end of the week, you know, we meet up, we drink some mead and some wine and so on, and then live bands come on and play their music and we dance and we look into each other's eyes and do this strange, not strange really, but, you know, just using that as a description, we do a natural ritualistic dance, and then suddenly, boom, that lady over there likes my chest dance, and she's over like a beacon. I'm like a beacon. Look at that chest dance, and you know that other woman over there's dancing, doing the hand dance, and other guys like yes, and he makes a move for her, and so on. And then you go and have a little bit of coital fun and, get back to work in the week and so on. No need to marry anybody and make them your boyfriend or girlfriend for the rest of your life. Yeah, there, I said it. So Sim says Smokey Robinson was country music. Lionel Richie. Oh, I didn't know that. Lionel Richie. Martin Gray, I live in at-home dance. Jim Reeves wasn't in your house. What is the matter with you? Wow, there's a surprise. Yeah, there's a surprise. So yeah, he was a hardcore racist as well, by the way. I didn't. I think I told my mum one day actually, but it was too late by then. So I met my missus at a rave. She loved my dancing. There you go. You see. So yeah, dancing's an expression, really is. Englishmen can't dance, as a whole. It's just the way it is. It's just like when I say can't dance, and this is not to negate what I was saying before. Let me just have a break. Sitting back since yesterday, it's a game don't wanna play. So by that, what I mean is, there's no way to dance. Let me get that clear first before I start making fun of anybody. As I said earlier, you just express yourself. You just do what you do. But to certain music and certain genres, as human beings, what we do is we form dances. You say you do this. You do that to a mud song. Everyone knows that. There's certain foot moves, dance as you do to jazz music. There's certain dancing you do to like rave music. You can do that in general to a lot of things. But if you started doing this, to a classical music or like a standard rock concert or something, it doesn't fit. It's not fitting. So what I'm trying to say here is there are dances for different genres. We all know that. And there's no hard and fast rule about dancing, but there is one, and it's unwritten, and it's like dance to the beat, not like on the beat, but to the beat. You dance through it. You've got a beat like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and you don't have to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. You kind of dance in, you dance around that move, you groove your body, and so on. And Englishmen don't know how to do that. In general, it's like they just don't. And it's Germans, and I thought English were likely the worst dancers in the world, but there's also a German thing going on with dancing. I look at a German person dancing to a song with words, and I think that person's moving on every word with the letter E and a G in it. They're waiting for the word, and then they kind of move. And once again, it's a cultural thing, so I'm not knocking anybody for this, by the way. What I mean is, if you go to Germany, the Germans are dancing like that and everyone else is. It's what they do. But if you put a German person in an English disco, ooh, there's going to be trouble ahead. And if you put an Englishman in any other disco, it's the same thing. Just move to the side and try and catch the beat. And there's that kind of bounce down thing that English dancers do. Men and women, by the way. And I just find it so funny. And culturally, people, once again, it's about what we assign. People love African music, whether it's in its natural form, boom, just someone hitting drums and playing like some kind of bass sound, to like the modern day incarnation of it, whether it's blues, whether it's rap, whether it's jazz, African music. People can't get enough of it. This is the rhythm of the world. And whatever guise it comes in, it's African. People may call it black music or whatever, but that's what people groove the most to. So that being what people call the source of music, and I'm not saying that other music isn't good before you start crying. Anyone does start crying. You can go and listen to classical music and say, well, what about European classical music? It's great, and there's a dance to it. Vienna waltz and other boring stuff. Looks good though. But we know, you know too, when you want to see someone funking, for Jamaica or whatever, or funking out, it's the music that's steeped in African roots. No matter what it is, drum and bass, jungle, all these modern incarnations. Listen in the background, drums, African, the bass lines, roots, rocks, reggae, which all come from African roots anyway. And we have this affinity with African music, even though we don't give it the credit, because it's one of the musics that the world really loves and appreciates, and it comes from one of the countries, the most violated country on the planet, for its scale, because you could say, no, this country was actually destroyed completely. And it's like, yeah, it's only like 100 kilometres in size. This one's like 1 billion kilometres, and it's like been smashed to pieces. And because people have been fed the European lie that Africans are savages and so on, everyone feels it's okay to steal the music. So everyone steals African music and, like to claim it's their own or just make money of it. And none of the real credit goes back. But seriousness aside, music's music. And we have to learn to love and live with it and to move and to groove to it, because music is life. I'll take that, Mark. You got the moves, he says. So let me just go back to some of the comments. Yeah, but Andrew, Boozy, got to be a hard man, slightly repressed culture in the UK. It's totally repressed in the UK. In the UK, if you go to like typical English clubs, men have to drink loads. Even the women, it's like, come on, let's go, and they have to do crazy shit and, I don't know, it's weird. England's so weird about dancing, Even me, I claim I'm open and I dance freely. I always just go out and dance. When I'm abroad sometimes, I just see in another country, go in and, there's a guy out and he's dancing, and there's no one else out on the dance floor. And I think, oh, well, that's cool. Hello, Nick, didn't see you there. So, Mark, don't you think English peeps have got the rhythm nowadays? Nope. English people haven't got the rhythm nowadays. I mean, what I say is, English people can dance as well. Everyone can dance. It's dancers. But I'm going to choose with living in a big city, Sim. And I think you travel anyway. I know you travel. But England's that big. And, yeah, I've seen Londoners dance. I've seen Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester people dance. And the rest of the country, no. They're just steeped in tradition. It's just not that they can't dance, truly, as I try to explain. It's that we have a kind of idea of what dancing's supposed to be, and they can't do that. It's that simple. It's just like seeing like the dreadlocks middle class Tarquin from like from Buckinghamshire, playing the djembe. He can't play one. He just thinks like, oh, it's just a drum, and he's just banging it in the street with a hat down, trying to collect money. And it's the same with the dancing. Give him a drum kit, he's probably magic on it, but the djembe's not for him. And it's the same with like dancing. English men just cannot dance, And I'm saying it's a general blanket statement for effect, because obviously there's bloody good English dancers. I've met 2 of them in my life. See? Hope you're well, Nick. Long time since we've actually met in person. So that banjo was made in Africa, but never seen any African banjo players. Yeah, I know. They make a hell of a lot of string instruments out in Africa, to be honest, even up to this day. In fact, I posted something the other day. It was a band. It was for African kids, and they had like a wicked drum, made out of, I don't know, husks of wood and other like fruits, like the shell husk of the fruits and so on, and looked like was vine or twine, and they were just playing away, and it was an amazing sound. It was really, really good. But once again, as I said, music's international. I'm not trying to say who's bigger and better than anyone with music or about the dancing, but it's just like you try and get like an African group to play rock music. And once again, you can argue all day, tell me the exceptions. I'm not interested. What I mean is, you tell them to play like, it's rock, right? So you just got to play 16ths, right? And, the drums go like this. And they're just going to funk it up after a very short while. And it's like, they don't do rock music. So I'm saying the opposite. I hate that I always have to explain and give the opposite example. So what I mean, once again, is like, look, they're Englishmen. Dancing's meant to be done this way. Not meant to be, but this is what we accept as dancing. This is what we call good dancing. And they just rubbish at it. They wait until typically a club shuts so they can fight. I think they're good at fighting. So that's dancing dealt with, and being offensive dealt with tonight. If there's anything anyone wants to talk about, say so now. I'll give you 60 seconds, or forever hold your peace.
You not heard of the OBG? Big people talk, man. You need to get involved. You might even catch a blessing.
Can someone do me a favour? Did that when I play that graphic, could you hear sound? I'm going to do it again. I'll do a different one.
Now listen.
Yeah, could you hear music with that graphic? I think I had a setting incorrect here on the mixer. So, anyone want to move? Anyone want to talk about any particular subject? Oh, thanks a lot, Sim. Okay. I did push the slider up actually, so yeah. It may just have been a bit louder, or a lot louder, in fact. Who knows? Something going on in this mind. If I know I'm looking so hard, I can't find it. Something going on in this head. Look at me, I used to be a funky dread. Funny thing is, I made a lot of this music about like 15, 20 years ago. And yeah, Sim, a lot of people use that one or try that one. But once again, it may even be that. But when I have the competition, throw it in. And if you're right, then you get the prize. But yeah, I made these songs like some up to 20 years ago. I always knew there'd be a place for them. And then one day when I was creating this OBG show, I just thought to myself, you know what? I've got all this music that I made years and years ago. And I can use it in the show. And it's worked out great. In fact, the colourful OBG one, a guy called Oliver Bell done that for me a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Ollie. But these made... Sitting down, don't want to play. Yeah, I made like 20 years ago. So I'm so grateful. Not only that, I've got so many songs. I've got about 200 of them. None of them are good enough for release, and that's not why I made them. And the truth is, I made them because I wanted to, because I love making music. And the fact that I can use them now, because they're not dated as such, because they're not any kind of genre, is a stroke of luck for me. Yeah, I haven't been to a squat party for a long time, Andrew, sorry. Yeah, I've been living here, I don't even know how long I've been living here. I said 1 year the other day, and so I thought to myself, no, it's nearly 2 years now. Oh, something like that. I don't know. But I just don't miss them. What I do is when I came to live here, I moved over in, I think, end of April. But I booked to go to Germany, to Berlin, to a party 4 weeks later. And I went to that, and it was an amazing party. So I went the next year, and now... so I've been this will be my second year in May, and I'm going to go to the next one, which is coming up soon. And it's called the Festival of Cultures in Berlin, but I don't go to the main festival. And I was fortunate to meet someone the first time. I said, no, don't go there. But in a German accent. And they said there's a festival of subcultures. So I went, and whoa. I thought I was too old to indulge, but there's enough people there to convince you're not. And I partied hard. The first time I went to a party, I went back home, I went to a party, I stayed at a hostel. But the second year, I stayed with a friend of mine, Danny Textile, he's a DJ. Good man, let me stay at his for free. Not only that, he just gave me his bedroom, he took me in there, said, these are my decks, and this is how it works, if you want to use anything, this is use the house as you want, and be my guest. So I thought, great, that's amazing. Now, we went to a party, we stayed out for like 48 hours, or close to 48 hours, and I'm the oldest in the group, like Danny's only about 38, 39, so I came home, and they went to another party. I came home and went to bed. I slept for about 5 hours, woke up, and I went to another party, met up with them, and we stayed at that one for 24 hours. They stayed out the whole weekend. I don't know how they do it. Yes, Betty Boot's story. Yeah, it's been surfacing recently on Facebook. But yeah, something that I heard, years and years ago. There's a lot coming out now, to be honest, about just characters and stories, because history's written by those who are running the show always. Like, you know, we don't know much about the East. You know, the Japanese, the Oriental, the Orient rather, Chinese, also, and how corrupt they are. You know, because they're you know, a massive concern. So my gripe is always with Europe, because that's who I know the most about. But you know, they wrote the history books basically on such a large scale. I'm surprised that we don't hear so much Spanish, because the Spanish Empire was massive at one time, bigger than the British, in fact. And look at them now. But they, you know, you don't hear so much of the Spanish. There's some stories that you've heard about Spanish characters when you were little, and that's likely because of that as well. But the English, they're you know, later. And so, you know, you just keep on hearing stuff. But everything's coming to light. Same with the States as well. You know, we grew up with America. Everything's American for nearly all of us. When we do an accent, it's American. When we sing an American accent. You know, any cultural reference we talk about to do with movies, nearly everybody, it's American. And that's America's footprint. And not only that, they're still doing it. They're growing and growing and invading countries and murdering people, stealing their stuff. And we're doing nothing about it. And oddly enough, we're the very same people who look back in history and go, oh, if I was alive in those days, I wouldn't have let this happen. And it's like, it's happening right now. And, you know, a lot of us aren't doing anything about it. You know, I'm glad you are, Mark. You know, Mark Johnson's got his own show. If you click on his link and follow him through, he does a show every day, and he talks about all this stuff and how to make change and so on. So, you know, he's trying to do his bit, and he's a voice to get stuff out there. And that's what I do as well, not just the show, but, you know, beyond the show, I'm someone who goes out into the world and always active, always taking part, always trying to make change, trying to change people's lives and so on. And I think the thing that's driving me in the main is that one day I'm going to raise someone. I'm going to raise that boy or girl who champions the world. You raise someone and give them the confidence, you know, give them a little bit of help out, tell them about the way the world is, go in and corrupt their young mind. When I say corrupt, I mean against what the system feeds them and so on. And that person grows up, and that person becomes a leader in their own right, whether it's in their own community, their own group, you know, in their country, or on a global scale. But typically, we don't need global leaders anyway. So, on that note, I'm going to sign off. Thanks to everyone who came in tonight. In fact, fantastic. Thanks for your input. Thanks for joining in, Sims. This is what holds me up. Thanks so much as well for Andrew Murphy for coming in tonight and doing you know, what you did. Also for you, Mark. Always good to see you on. And Susha, I know people have left by now. Martin, Mark, Elroy, Anna, and Jerry. On that note, I am the OBG. Thanks for tuning in. I don't think people really know the true hypnotic power of television. You know, how it pulls us in and just keeps telling us to consume, buy, and tells us to hate each other and separates us and causes the greatest divides, all under the name of entertainment. And every time I turn on my TV, it's just like no surprise. It's all of those programs and they're pushing out lies. And in between there's the adverts and they do it again and they're trying to convince